Yes, welcome to the live chat. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? I was supposed to go live in the morning. I'm jumping straight into it. I have to go to my little cousin slash little sister graduation. It's been a long time. She's graduating high school. I feel like I'm getting older. I am getting older. And so, first and foremost, I broke my computer screen. I am not gonna hide that. I refuse to. I broke my computer screen before we get started, and I broke the computer screen. I got upset at my mother. Yes. Everybody who can relate, please let me know in the comments during the live stream, after the live stream, that we all have that mother that can get under your skin. I have one of those. And I think that's all mothers. And I still love my mother. I still love her, but she is one. So, um, disclaimer. And I don't have a picture of it. It's on my computer screen. Gotta love it. So, I still remember it a little bit. So, disclaimer. I, Henry Felton, speaking on behalf of Creator, I am only speaking from my experience. If you are to make a college decision, please consult with your academic advisor, financial aid, or somebody in the institution. I do not represent any institution. So when you're making your college decision, please discuss with the institution and make sure everything is accurate. I, Henry Felton, I am only speaking from my experience and how I attained a debt-free degree. So since we got that disclaimer out the way, let's do some fun stuff. So as you can see, I'm at my mom's house or apartment house, whichever one. And as of before, I'm getting ready to go to a high school graduation for my little cousin sister, who I know since yay high. We both grew up together, and now it's her time to graduate across that stage and have a plan for college. I believe she said she wants to go to college. Based on her situation, we will hopefully, if she wants me to and ask me, we could work on something. First thing first, as you see, I know I did one, two, and then three. So you see that the Trump administration has blocked. I'm using my camera as to see my resources on my articles. So yeah, guys, don't be like me. Don't break your computer screen. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then can you zoom in on this? It's gotta be a way to rotate it. Guys, it's shrinking. I can't see it. Oh, I can zoom in. I learn stuff every day when you need it, really. So, Harvard, the Trump administration blocks international students. I took a picture of that. Actually, there's nothing really to take a picture of. It's really just to talk about it. And I know it's Saturday, but it's breaking news, and I have to talk about it. I'm like a day late, but some things I'll be on top of, some things I won't. The Trump administration blocked international students. Now, why does that matter? So they blocked the Trump administration blocked international students at Harvard. Let's be clear on that. They blocked them at Harvard. And that's not good. Simple as that. That's not good. And so if you're an international student and you wanted to attend Harvard fresh out of high school, for example, fresh out of high school, like imagine all the kids who are about to graduate high school right now. And they could be in different countries and they want to study here in America to get their education at Harvard, which is it's perceived to be one of the best, if not the best, higher education institutions to get your education at. Now, if they're coming from a different country, they can't do that. And people might say, well, it's not going to happen. It's not really going to happen. Everything is good. You have to think about it. Like, when it gets done, that's at the executive level. When it gets done at the executive level, they have to listen to it. They can't do what they want to do because that would be breaking the law. Now, the school can still be accepting international students, but it's going to hurt their enrollment if they don't. because a lot of foreign countries might not, well, some of y'all might know this. A lot of y'all might know this. One of my professionals that, once again, I'm going to call y'all out till y'all come one day. Higher education, like usually students from, when a lot of students are coming from different countries, a lot of different countries have money. Let's be frank about this. Let's be reality or realization or whatever word we want to use. Let's be real about this, right? Let's be real. And so when these students are coming from different countries, when these students are coming from different countries to a school like Harvard, you gotta have they have some type of bank. And not only that they have some type of bank, it helps boost their enrollment for Harvard. Harvard, I don't know exactly. That's what I would have did on the live screen. I would have did it during the live screen. It probably would have took me a few minutes to find, but I would have did it. You have to see what's the international numbers for Harvard. And from what I saw on LinkedIn, a couple of articles at a quick glance, they said that Harvard relies heavily, from professionals on LinkedIn to Harvard relies heavily on international students for their enrollment in their institution, period. And when the Trump administration blocks that off, and he signed an executive order for it, when he blocks that off, that's like no students from another country better come here and attend this institution, because then that's breaking the law. And now that leads into Harvard suing the federal government. It gets crazier and more entertaining, because if with him blocking that, so what do students do? Let's ask that question. What do the students do? The international students. What does the international students do? Picture yourself. You might be in high school. You might be a parent. And imagine your school imagine you seeing it, or just imagine your school saying, oh, you can't come here because of the current administration, right? And remember, we're nonpartisan. The current administration did an executive order to say you can't attend the institution, and then a parent is going to say this instantly, like, my child got in, da 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 da. Because at my time at Georgia Tech, I worked with international students and taught to international parents on a constant basis. It's their child at the end of the day. And they got into the school. So now the school has to tell them, it might be an admission counselor, it might be enrollment, it might be enrollment staff, the enrollment side, because your admissions and enrollment can be separate. It all depends on how this thing is structured up in the institution. Every institution is structured different. I actually take a class this upcoming August, on organizational structure in higher education. So I'm going to get more learning on that. But this their child. And now their child got in. So what do? Go to another school? Because let me tell you what's going to happen. If they say, oh, you can't come here because they're international, you can't come to this institution, the kid might get into another school in America. So they might have to go to that school temporarily. But then what if the kid go to the school and they like that school and they're like, well, Harvard didn't let me in because of the Trump administration, executive order, or whatever, right? And that's going to hurt Harvard enrollment, which hurts their dollars, their money. So then Harvard is like squeezing out Harvard's money. And all of this started with the grants, right? Trump administration attacking Harvard about grants, slicing their grants, their funding, federal grant funding along those lines. And so, but let's be clear. We talked about this in school a little bit. Anybody in higher education who, I know one person actually, can't say no names. She would have to come on here and tell it herself if she's comfortable. But Harvard has always been on the naughty list. And so Harvard has never been following the rules. That's the word on the street. Harvard always did their own thing. Harvard always been Harvard. So to see Harvard going back and forth with the federal government is entertaining. And that Harvard actually is going to sue the federal government. So how long is this going to take? It said that the judge has paused it, actually. Let me turn on my camera. It says the judge has formally paused. Let me zoom in. It's not that one or that one. It says Harvard sues to protect international enrollment. Harvard accused the federal government of blatantly violating the First Amendment and its due process rights when it abruptly halted the university's ability to enroll international students. So it said halted its ability. So that's why I said it's hurting their money. That's why they're saying well, we're suing the federal government because they're going to make up for these students who are not going to attend. Because those students are going to be like, oh, I can't come here. It's like really on the surface level. Let's break it down. Forget the high level. Surface level. Parent, student probably don't know our news because they're coming from another country. So they probably don't even know about the news unless the kid got in. And then Harvard has to send out an email saying, oh, if you were accepted into our institution for this upcoming fall 2025 fall semester, coming up in August, if you was accepted, we cannot accept you in our institution this upcoming fall due to recent administration changes. I'm telling you, that's how it works. And then the parent and the student have to think, what school do you go to now? Then what if you ain't plan on another school? There's so many factors. Like, what if they didn't even plan? Like, oh, I'm in Harvard. I'm not even going to another school. The kid might have to go to a state school, and they got into Harvard. Or the kid might say, well, I'm not going to college no more. It's going to affect a lot of lives on a broader scale. And so, but it's really going to hurt them pockets again, once again. For that's like the hook. This the hook this time. This the hook for this one. It's going to hurt Harvard pockets. He in the pockets. So Harvard want to sue, but they got to hope they win because they can sue, but that takes time. That could be years before they get that money back. So Harvard and Trump administration do not like each other, first and foremost. And them suing really says how many other schools are going to follow. Can other schools, do other colleges have, or I like to say institutions, but do other colleges, university, do they have the money to fight the federal government like Harvard? Harvard has the money, funds, endowments, and all that to combat this. But do other schools? Because if he could do this to Harvard, he could do this to any school. The Trump administration could do this to any school. And you might say, well, why does this matter? Because it can affect you as a college student or getting ready to be a college student. It can affect you. Water break, water break, water break, water break. Drink up the glass. It can affect you as a college student. And so if you're potentially getting ready to go to a school and then all of a sudden it just you can't go here because of blah 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 X, Y, and Z, then you got a problem. What if you don't have a backup plan? What if you from a household you don't have a what can I say? You don't have like a you're from a household you don't have the capabilities just to go apply to another school. Or what if you were so stuck on that school you don't go to school no more? And so that really sparks the war on higher education that's going on now. I don't really focus on K to 12 like that. Might be some things that come into that play, but that higher education aspect, like these kids transitioning to college, that's a big problem. And then we already had some instances where um, the Department of Education had fired like 50%. I believe, of the staff. Don't quote me on that. It was like 50%, 25% of their staff at the main DC one. So, quick context: Department of Education has one big headquarter, and so just like any brand you like to wear, like Nike or something, they have a brand headquarter. Same thing. And they have other locations of Nike. So same thing with the Department of Education. You have the one in DC, the Department of Higher Education in DC. Then you have Department of Education in like Georgia, Florida. You have one in each state, unless they closed it down. But you have one in each state. And the Department of Education is supposed to. This is nonpartisan. I don't have no problem with it. I loved. I actually that was one of my career goals to work for the Department of Education. And Department of Education is supposed to police colleges, universities. I say colleges because, and it sounds weird because I say it a lot when I'm live streaming, so it's coming off weird. But university and colleges, like 2 years, universities, 2 years and 4 years, same thing. But 2 years and 4 years, Department of Education is supposed to police them. Like, hey, why are you like? I want y'all to see me like writing, but why are you not? Why is your tuition going up? Or why is your tuition going up, but parents and salaries are not going up? Or why is students? It's supposed to be like, oh, y'all have a high number of students not graduating, but you're still saying that like false anything that's not really true. They're going to police you on that. The financial aids, they police. You got people that's going to police the financial aids, enrollments, the students, the not the students, but like who's watching over the students. They just police everything. They supposed to keep everything in order, and so that was one of the problems I had with it, because I'm like, if you take away the Department of Education, you don't have nobody policing the colleges and universities, which means, like, as we know today, if you do follow this, this is why tuition, this is why tuition keeps rising. But my thing about that was, past president, current president, um, nobody was policing why tuition kept rising. That's my problem. Why was nobody policing that tuition kept rising? Why was nobody policing that? So, or why is nobody policing the fees going up? Why do all not parents, why do all students and staff and faculty at colleges pay for parking? Hmm? I understand you gotta pay property taxes on that parking, but some of the prices are crazy. And I'm gonna leave it there. But the fees, the amenities. They're like, why are they adding amenities? These are very open conversations, guys, that we're not getting answers to. And past administration, current administration, you can go 10 years back. You can go 20 years back. Because once again, I said the Higher Education Act has not been updated since 2007 or 2008. That is a problem. That is a problem. So that means, once again, that every academic advisor, every institution, I'm gonna say every institution. That means every institution, college, 2 year, 4 year, they're using flawed methods that do not work for the student to have a successful career post college. That means that when a student leaves here, they're looking at like, hold on, wait, I'm not gonna get a job right away. Like, only people who are gonna get jobs right away is probably the prestige colleges. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you went to a prestige college, you're probably gonna get a job when you get out. And so those old methods still work. But if you went to like a school like me, a 2 year, then a regular old 4 year, and now I'm at my graduate school level, it's a pretty good grad school. But if you went to like regular colleges, people question it. Those people who hire you, they go off of what college you went to. Why? Because they kind of know what type of person you are. That's why every school, now we're getting into like, that's why every school has a campus culture. Like for all my people that go to college or in college, they can tell you like every school has their own culture. Like some schools are more country than other schools. Some schools are literally like more city than other schools. Some schools are more nerdy than other schools. So like you start like, so then when an employer comes in, employer will be like, oh, I went to such and such school, XYZ. I didn't know you went to XYZ as well. So now they have a common ground that's like what type of person you are. They're like, oh, okay, we about the same person. I know you should work hard. They say, I know you should work hard. Then, they check some references, some validations from professors, and like, oh, they work pretty good. Turn in, okay. So they should be pretty good. They should be pretty good with us, okay. So this is how it all trickles down. So it starts from like Department of Education, the schools, the students. You see how, and it all starts with leadership. Our favorite word, leadership. And so that gives me really hype because nobody, once again, is policing these schools. Nobody's doing anything, and so they're trying to shut down the Department of Education. So then the schools, when the schools are like, we don't have nobody policing us, it's up to the state. Then if it's up to the state, guess what? The state is going to be like, if they want to, I could just keep raising the tuition. I can keep raising the fees. And remember, my thesis, my theory, remember, is that college is becoming unaffordable. Education is becoming valuable. People say invaluable, but it's like the same definition as valuable. So correct me if I'm wrong. We don't got nobody today. It's Saturday. Everybody enjoying their Saturday. Please enjoy your Saturday, but pop this in Monday. Pop this in Monday and play it. And so yeah, they could just raise the tuition and do whatever they want, and nobody's going to stop them because there's no Department of Education. I don't like that. We need to do. I spoke on this in graduate school. Learned about it. Schools should do a tuition freeze. There needs to be a policy for you can raise your tuition to maybe I would say the max paying job in that area, which makes sense, right? Because if your school, not your school, but if let's just say you're in a rural area and like well, let's be clear, anybody can make anything these days. Like you could be in a small area and somebody can still make 10 million a year. But realistically, if it should be broken, it's got to be there's no metric in the Higher Education Act, and it could be in the institution. Like you can have a Higher Education Act, like the Department of Education, they have their policies. Then you have the schools, the school policy. Then you have the department policy. It's like policies on policies on policies. Like it's levels. It's always levels. Everything has a level to it. So Department of Education is the executive. Your institution is part of like the institution level, and then you have like the state policies for the college. It's like different policies for different states. That's why it's like I never could say something is concrete. We have to go read the policies. And so a school could just raise it, and they can just once again make it unaffordable to the hook of everything. Make it unaffordable. And when people don't want to go to college, you're forced to work for them. And I work for some. No, not right now, but it forces you to work for somebody. We all work for somebody, right? And so, from entrepreneurs out there, they don't work for nobody. Shout out to you. You probably didn't go to college, or you probably did, but that's what it does. And when college becomes unaffordable, it's not really good. Like some people think it's more of a, some people might think it's a whatever thing, but it's really just if you don't have the education, you don't have the power. You don't have the knowledge, which knowledge leads to power. You hear it all the time, but really, if you don't have the education to know about the stock market, then you won't be able to create a valuable life for yourself. So like the basic one I hear all the time and learn for a fact is like when you leave your money in the bank, it loses value. And so when you're, so prime example, if you're only making like, you know how it be like 50 cent, it might say $1, it'd be like 50 cent, 30 cent, or whatever. Um, whatever number it is, right? I hear people say all types of different ones. And you only getting that, leaving your money in a bank account, and then you might have a school or the state might raise your tuition by like 3 to 5%. So now your money in your bank is really like, dang, you be like, dang, school expensive. Hold up. Last semester was this. They raised it by 3 to 5% or more probably. So it shouldn't go up no more at this point. Tuition, I'm not trying to get on it, but I'm just speaking on this coming up. Tuition has outpaced inflation. That's bad. Is it inflation? Yeah, it's inflation. Tuition outpaced inflation. Tuition outpaced people's income. Like from people who started school probably like 10 years ago. Like yeah, you had some people still in school 10 years ago. Like me, I've been in college for almost 10 years. I've been in college just the amount of the years I've been out of high school, just to give you some context. And to be honest with you, them raising tuition is not fair to a student who parents are not paying for their tuition. Then you might say, well, they got financial aid. Then it's like, once again, we talked about that in the last live screen. Your financial aid only covers you for $7,000 a year, not to mention if you're in graduate school. If you're in graduate school, guess what? You don't get financial aid. All you doing is qualifying for student loans. You don't get Pell. You don't get whatever state you're in. If you're in Georgia, you don't get Hope. You don't get none of that stuff to help you with school. It's strictly where's your money. Unless you're gonna use your job. Your job can pay for it. But you see what I'm doing? You have to, if you want to pay for school, it's like you're either gonna have to go work and get a full-time job or take a part-time job and use your money from your part-time job to pay for your schooling. That's what I did. Or you're going to have to use the loans, and we see what that does to you. Now you're getting garnished. So you want to play the game right. Like Samuel Jackson said, Samuel Jackson said, a fun game, a rigged game is fun to play once you realize how to play the rigged game. Probably not exactly the quote, but that's the quote Samuel Jackson said. Shout out to him. So, and then now on our closeout, guys, we're probably going to run till 35 minutes to 40 minutes. They're not going to be an hour. It's Saturday. I wanted to talk about these things and how they trickle down. And your boy got to get a new laptop screen or laptop. So, transfer credits. I really wanted to, I almost talked about this first, but I feel like I would have talked a whole lot script about this. So, for all my people in college already, and if you're in college, you need to talk to the people who don't know. Transfer credits. Let me go to it. Yeah, that's it. So, transfer credits. This is by Amanda Harris. She's a Department of Government Affairs. Um, I don't know exactly her job. I don't know if she works for the Department of Education, but she's pretty credible. She works for, I think she does work for the Department of Education. I might be wrong, but she posted on LinkedIn that, and she could work for the, what's, oh, let me zoom out. Oh, I didn't take the picture right. She could work for one of the higher education facilities, but it's pretty credible when I checked her out. So she had posted, many colleges face financial disincentives, if I said that right, disincentives, that hinder the smooth transfer of credits. So before I even go deeper into that, check out one of my videos. Go check out one of my videos, please. I talked about transferring credits in there when I was doing the short-term videos. It's about transfer credits. So if you're in college, you have an idea what I'm talking about. If you're just coming into college, you're probably like, what am I talking about? Let me know in the comment section. If you watch this video, you have to comment, guys. I don't know everything. I don't. You see, right? It's like words that I'm looking at, and I'm like, I hope I said that right. I don't know things. I always been the type. I remember it was a time when people, and it might still be like that. I remember when there was a time when if you asked a question, people laughed. I don't think times are like that no more. I hope they're not. But I say that because I was off social media for like 5 or 6 years. But if you don't know, ask in the comment section. If I don't know, I can ask somebody who might know. And if I have an idea, I'll give you my experience. I can give you my experience. I can give you my perspective. I can give you everything I went through because I dealt with transferring credits myself, which leads us into now what we're going to talk about. When you transfer your credits from an institution, it's good to know if a school, let's say you go to ABC, but you want to transfer ABC credits to XYZ. And so, and I'll give you real schools. I will give you real schools. So if you want to transfer a school like the University of Florida, the Gators, and you want to transfer your credits to the Florida Seminoles, it's a good chance your credits might transfer because the schools are in the same state. They're right next to. That's my mom, y'all. Hold on. That's my mom. Hold on, guys. Y'all probably heard that. Y'all probably did. That's my mom. She was at the door. So you can transfer from, I said Florida, Florida Gators or Florida Seminoles. They're both in Florida, so it's a high chance those credits can transfer. Why? Because when they're in the same state, they are under the same like system of Florida. It's like every state has a university system of their state. They have to. And same thing for community colleges, technical colleges, same thing. Technical college and community college are the same, but some states go by community college heavy versus technical college. So when you transfer your credits from Florida Gators to Florida Seminoles, they should transfer. Now it gets tricky because you're like, here, well, if I don't go to a big school like that, right? What if you go to a small school like me? Like I went to a smaller school like Valdosta State University. And when I transferred from my 2 year, because this is the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to you're really only supposed to do transfers when you go from a 2 year to a 4 year. That's how it's supposed to work. You don't supposed to be transferring from university to university to university because that can mess up your credits. And then they have to weigh them. It's a person who works and they're evaluating your credits. Like, was their math the same as or was their math similar to our math at the other school? That's where the articulation agreement comes in because the articulation agreement, and I'm gonna read the rest of the post. The articulation agreement is better because it guarantees what you're going to transfer over. They don't have to evaluate it. Your president and my president shook hands and said, hey, wherever we agreed on, wherever they take that we agreed on, like the credits, we're going to take them. Blindly take them. Like, blindly. They might look at them to make sure you took the right stuff because you got to make sure you took the classes before we give you a credit for them. But that's how it works. So, and then that's where I'm like, when I see a lot of athletes transfer, I know they're not going to get their degree most of the time because some athletes will transfer from like the state of Georgia and they'll transfer from the state of Georgia to like Nebraska or something. Nebraska and y'all gonna judge me. I'm not that good with my states. I'm not that good. So Georgia and let me say Georgia and a state I know for sure. You might go from Georgia to Texas, and Georgia and Texas have completely different. You would say like way of credits, right? And so Texas might not take credits from Georgia because Georgia has a different history from Texas, for example. That's a great example. So Georgia history is different from Texas history. So Georgia might say, well, Texas will be like, we're not going to take your history credit. You'll have to retake that. But prime example of an athlete, they don't really care because they're like, I'm going pro after college anyway. It doesn't really matter. And so I speak on that because one of my I learned that from athletes, having people close to me who are athletes, and it pushed them back on graduating because they didn't realize it because they're so focused on like they don't even know what their schedule is. They just like, I got a schedule, I can go play ball now. So you need to know like where your credits are going to be accepted. So when you transfer, they're going to be accepted no matter what. Like prime example, quarterback Jalen Hurts. For my athletes out there, I know y'all love to talk about athletes sometimes. When he transferred from the University of Alabama and went to the University of Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken, for my athletes out there, he knew that his actually he transferred in grad school and completed his master's over there, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all can help me on that and correct me. But pretty much he transferred. And if I had my laptop, I could look it up. He transferred from the University of Alabama to University of Oklahoma. And if he got his bachelor's at Alabama, as I assume he did, he still finished out. And then he transferred to Oklahoma to get his master's. So that's a whole different playing field. If you get your bachelor's somewhere and then you apply to the master's program at another school, you're good. But I really think he got his bachelor's he finished and got it there. But I'm not gonna speak too much on that because I could be wrong. And I don't want to be wrong. Well, I do want to be, like admitting my wrongs, but I'm not sure and I can't look it up right now because I'm live streaming on the phone. So I'm gonna walk this back if you want to skip it and you was like, oh, I thought he was done. When you transfer your credits, you want to make sure it's accepted at the institution you're transferring to. So if you're going to transfer from your 2-year to a 4-year, you need to ask them, do they have an articulation or pathway agreement set up? Because some people who work there don't know. They don't know. You could be talking to the wrong person and then you transferred and they're like, I didn't tell you to transfer. That's how it works. It's kind of like law. So when make sure that 2-year is accepted. Make sure that 2 years is accepted by that 4-year. Very key. That's my mom in the background making all that noise. So make sure your 2-year is accepted by your 4-year. Same thing. If you want to change universities, if you want to go from a university to another university, make sure that other university accepts your university. If you're going across the state of the world or whichever, make sure that school across the world accepts your school that you're at. Make sure. How do you do that? You send your transcripts to that institution, and that person who's evaluating is going to be evaluating like, they got an A in this, but a C in this. And they might compare it to their school. Like, a lot of people get C's in this in our school. So it's like, it just, once again, that's not my area. That's where we bring somebody in who evaluates credits. But I know from my experience, I made sure my 2-year had an agreement with my 4-year. That's why I took my butt down to the rural area of Valdosta. So, and I graduated with my bachelor's in half a year. I wasn't even there for 2 years. I did 3 years at my 2-year, took some extra credits there, some extra classes. Credits is classes. I took some extra classes there my 2-year. Then I bridged to the 4-year, and I wasn't there that long. Which set me up to jump into graduate school. And I did that last minute. I wasn't even considering graduate school, but it worked out because I learned a lot to talk to you all more confidently, to be confident. So let's jump back into this. If you're watching this, we have 39. We are on pace. So she said many colleges, once again, shout out to Amanda here. She said many colleges face financial disincentives that hinder the smooth transfer of credits, often prioritizing short-term revenue over student success. And what she means by prioritizing short-term revenue over student success, I talked about that a lot too. Like a lot of schools, hinder the smooth transfer of credits. Often, often prioritizing short-term revenue over student success. This practice can delay graduation and increase costs. So what it means is like schools are not, yeah, well, I thought I wanted to read a little more. Schools are not validating your credit. Well, schools are not informing you before you transfer. Like before you come to the school, hey, make sure this student credits are accepted. Instead, they're like, hurry up and come to my school. The school is like, hurry up, come here, and we'll tell you later. It's like a back door. We'll tell you later what credits are going to be accepted and what credits are not going to be accepted. Then you get there and you're like, what? I had to retake like, for my college students out there, they know this. I had to retake like 20 to 30 credit hours worth of classes. That's a lot. Or yeah, I'm gonna just say 20 to 30 credit hours. So if you took, I know at a 2 year, it's like 60, depending where you at. It depends on your major too. It's like 40 to 60 to get an associate's degree. So you're telling me I would have to retake, that's a whole nother spiel. I'm not gonna do that to y'all. That would get y'all confused. But pretty much your 20 to 30 class, your 20 to 30 credit hours would have to be retaken, which means instead of you graduating in 2020, instead of you graduating in 2020, what year this is? 2025. You're supposed to graduate in 2026. You're going to graduate in 2028 instead. That's what that means. So, and then some students just drop out. They say, I'm not doing that. And they say, I'm not about to pay extra money. That's extra money you have to pay for. And once again, if you get financial aid, your financial aid is going to run out on the basic terminology level. Your financial aid is probably already ran out or is about to run out. So you're not going to have enough financial aid. You didn't really like a typical college student did not save money to pay for classes. So now you have to pay for classes or take out loans. You choose to take out the loans, now you have to pick a career or a job that's going to pay you what you took out for them loans. So now you're saying your job doesn't pay enough, or you're forced to take a career that you don't want to do. Like me, I had a feeling I wasn't gonna be in a high demanding career field. Like meaning I knew I was gonna be in a career field that didn't pay that. It really does pay a lot. Like I said, your college presidents, they get millions of dollars. Millions. So my career field is lucrative, but it's only if you're an executive. If you're like where I'm at now, entry level, you're not really gonna get that much. And so I knew like, okay, initially I gotta have a great ROI, return on investment. So I'm gonna keep going to low colleges that offer organizational structure slash higher education and work my way up to that exact career field I want to be in for my master's. I didn't even know my career field offered a master's in this. Didn't even know that. Blew my mind. Offered it. It's offered everywhere across the world, nationally, at least nationally. I can speak for America. So she said this practice can delay graduation and increase costs for transfer students. This proportionately affecting those from underrepresented backgrounds. Inside Higher Ed's webcast on April 30th. Short-term reward, long-term harm. Dot. Oh, screen call from y'all. It dives into how current transfer practices impact learners and institutions. It's a great discussion for anyone committed to creating equitable pathways in higher education. So, yeah, is what we talk about. Like, it's gonna it's gonna delay you, make you pay more money in school, and it's gonna push back your graduation year. And it hurts schools long term. Kind of like why we're in the situation we're in now, higher education. It's really not safe. On the closeout, um, higher a lot of schools think that a lot of institutions and colleges think just because you're how can I put it? Just because you're colleges and institutions think if they don't talk about the problems now, what is affecting the school, that it won't come back and hurt them later. And they're wrong. It will. Higher education, if they don't start making long-term plans on being honest with students, like think about it as a student. How many of you know your college president? Now, some of you at small schools probably do. Bigger schools is a problem. And schools need to be honest. Like, hey, make sure your credits are going to transfer. Hey, take your time. There's no rush. I I definitely missed like a semester of college before. I know I missed like 2 semesters of college before. One time because it wasn't nothing offered, so I had to sit out and wait. But you can be a transient student. We can talk about that next time. It's actually a video on that. But definitely one time, none of my classes were offered. Another time, I had to go do something. I can't tell y'all yet. I had to go do something. I had to leave for a semester. And I still ended up graduating on time. I started school in 2018. I was supposed to start like that 2017 year. But I sat out and did some trades. And I still graduated on time, starting from 2018 to 2022. 19, 20, 21, 22. I still graduated in 4 years. I started my, you could say, pathway to get my bachelor's. Got my associate's, bachelor's, now working on my master's. So, people have to remember that these schools are not telling you the truth. And when these schools are not telling you the truth, it's hurting them long term. And a lot of people think they need to keep their jobs. Like a lot of higher education people who work in higher education think, oh, if we tell them, then they might not come to the school. No, tell them, because if you don't tell them and they figure it out, they're either going to drop out. It's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the student. They're going to drop out. And then if they don't drop out, then they're not going to be able to finish because they don't have the money. Or they just might get mentally drained and say, just stop. It's the same as dropping out, but these are factors. They just stop because you're not telling us the truth. And you're steady enrolling, like once again we talked about earlier, you're just enrolling my tuition, you're enrolling my fees, you're not telling me like this gonna transfer. Like that's a lot on the student, on top of them having to focus, on top of them just trying to focus on passing the test to pass the class, or write a paper to pass the class. So it's a real problem going on in higher education right now. And it's not like, this is not an overnight problem. It's a problem nobody's talking about. I'll say that. They're not talking about it. They're not talking about how this is going to affect them long term. The institution, the college. They're not talking about how it's going to affect them. They're not. And so they say, oh, people are still going to go to college, but will people still go to college? That's the question. If it gets too unaffordable, will people still want to go to college? Would my career be in jeopardy? So anything is possible. So they have to really find a solution to like tuition free stuff. Know their students better. How they know their students, how can they get to know their students better? Do live streams like this. Answer simple questions. Why do a student who's entering college, why does a kid who's graduating high school, when they are getting ready to enter college, they don't know the basic terminology of higher education? And you say, oh, it don't matter. It might not matter, but even when they get into this college, the academic advisor, the admission person, nobody's taking time to even help them and know stuff for them. So they're just being naive and lackadaisical. I couldn't be that person. I couldn't afford to be that person. That's expensive, not knowing what can happen to you at any moment. That's a walking, I don't have a word for it yet, but that's just walking, I'm going to say walking dangerous around the college. You're walking dangerous. Things change. Your major might get closed down, but you didn't know because you wasn't a student checking your emails. Students got to check their emails. Students need to talk to the instructors and talk to the higher ed professionals. Hey, advisor, is my major or is my program going to be closed? Like, your program could be here while you're in high school, but it can be closed as you're about to enroll at the institution. The institution will not tell you. Now you just have to pick another major. You're like, well, I'm already here. You can easily leave the school. If you didn't pay, if you didn't take no classes there or anything that cost money, you can easily walk out of the school. You can easily walk out of the school. Not hard. Drop your classes and leave. Go back home. If you can go back home. So for all my people who can't go back home because they don't have a home, you really have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to be really knowing what's going on in college. If you getting recruited, athletes, you need to make sure that when was this program built? Was this program just built that they say, oh, we can recruit you? Was this program just built a year ago? Is this a real football program that y'all just turned into a football program, but it was a football club a year ago? So you're like in a cohort of a football program, which means this football program might not be here next year, depending on how it do. That's what it means. So this is what goes on in higher education. It's a lot of things that goes on that we could talk about more, but that is our time limit. We went over like 20 minutes. So hopefully this helps. We talked about some things, just a quick Saturday, because it was some breaking headlines back to back. And so keep these in mind and consider when you transfer, let us know in the comment section what's the situation so we can navigate it. Navigate, higher education navigator, I like that. So I'll see y'all later. And I can't do the thumbnail either because, so the thumbnail will be coming on that one. Give it time, but we'll see y'all.